Hi, let us learn 7 simple PowerPoint tricks that every beginner should know. Let us jump into the first tip. This is to know how to number your slides in the slide number versus total number of slides in your deck format. Here I have a sample presentation. When I go to slide sorter view, you can see that I have one title slide and I have 5 content slides. Now we need to number each of these slides. So let us go to the first slide and let us learn how to insert a slide number first. Then I will show you how to add that formatting of a particular slide number over the total number of slides in the deck. When you go to insert and go to this group here called text, here you will see this option called insert slide number. You click on that option and you have the option to select the slide number here. You check that and you say apply to all. Now before we click on apply to all, realize that you also have an option to not show your slide number on title slide. First, let me show you how to do this without checking this option. Later, I'll show you what happens when you check this option. So let us go to apply to all for now. I have not checked this and go to apply to all. You can see that we have the slide number here, 1, 2, and so on. Now, when I go back to the same option, which is insert slide number, and check this option, which says don't show on title slide and say apply to all, you would notice that we have no slide number here on the first page, whereas from the second page onwards we have the slide number. And notice that from the second slide onwards the numbering starts from number 2, and this is something for you to remember. Now let us go to the next step of writing our slide numbers in the format of slide number out of the total number of slides in the deck. For that, let us go to view, go to slide master, go all the way up and go to this one called as Office Theme Slide Master, and here you would see that we have a specific place for us to get our slide numbers. Now I'm going to select this. I want the font to be a little larger and also a bit darker. So let me go to home and then increase the font size to say 14, and let us change the font color to black. Now this is very clearly visible. Now I'm going to insert a text element here. So let me go to Auto Shapes Gallery, pick up this text box tool and write the text called slide, and I'm going to place this right next to the slide number here. Can you see this is the number and this is the text. Now since this text is right on the theme slide master, every single slide will show this text in the bottom right corner. Now I'm going to write another text element that represents the total number of slides in the deck. Now we know that in our deck we have 6 slides. So I'm going to write that number here using another text box. Now I totally wish that there is an automatic way to calculate the total number of slides in the deck and then input that number here. But unfortunately I'm not aware of any such automatic option. So I'm going to show you something which is very simple and manual. Even if you were to add a few more slides later in the deck, all you need to do is to come back to the same theme slide master and change the total number of slides in the deck right here. So let us go to the text box tool and I'm going to write /6. That is, out of the 6 slides, this slide number is being shown, and that is what is the meaning of this. And let us place this right over here. Now we have slide, this particular slide number over the total number of slides in the deck, and we have got this right in our theme slide master. Go to slide master and close the master view right now, and when I go to the title slide we have this option shown. Let us go to Auto Shapes Gallery, go to the rectangle tool and then draw a rectangle to cover this. Go to shape fill, white fill, shape outline, no outline. Now if I go to the next slide, you can see it is slide 2 of 6 and this is slide 3 of 6 and so on. It goes all the way till slide 6 of 6. Now if you want to change the font size a little bit, you can always go to view, slide master, and then select this particular text box which represents this number, and I can go to home and I can increase it a little bit further. Since the default size is 18, I can always make that change here, and I can go to slide master, close master view. Now you can see that the number has a proper font size and this is perfect. Now the second tip is how to change border colors in a table. Now you might ask me, what is such a big deal in changing the border colors in a table? It is fairly straightforward, right? All you need to do is to select the table, then go to table design and then go to borders and maybe select all borders, and here we have all the borders changed to black color. Now say I want to change the border color to red. Where is the option available for that? Now here I see that I have the option to change the shading of the cells. I don't have the option to change the border color. If I go here and make it into red, this is what happens, and this is not what I really require. I want only the border colors to change. Now where is the option? Whatever option I have here is for the font color. If I go to text outline and change that to red color, you can see the impact here. This is not what I want. I want only the change in border colors. Now I see that there is this option here called pen color. Probably this would help me to change this border color to red. So let me go here and choose red color. Now nothing really happened to the borders. Now I have my cursor changed into a crayon. Now if I go to one of the cell corners and click, okay, now only that portion is changed into red. Now you don't really expect me to click on every single line here and change this into red, right? That will be a pretty pathetic way to go about doing things. So what is the right way to change the border colors of all the borders in a table? It's very simple. You select the table, go to table design, go to pen color. First choose the color that you want for all the borders. In this case I'm going to choose the red. Then instead of clicking on each of these borders, you go to borders, click on the drop down menu and click on all borders once again. Now you can see that this time we have this pen color applied to all the borders and we have this result. Now if you want all the border colors to be changed to blue, you know what to do. You go to pen color, choose the blue color, then go to borders and click on all borders once again. Now we have the border colors changed. Ideally this process should have been so much simpler and more intuitive. But then, since PowerPoint is a program that has evolved over multiple versions, it is totally understandable why some of these basic and simple things are missed out in the process. I hope PowerPoint engineers take note of such a simple improvement. The next step is how to break a table to highlight numbers. The trick we are about to learn is, here we have a table. On a click, I highlight one specific number here, so I can draw the viewer's attention to that number. I explain that, then click again and draw the viewer's attention to the next number, explain it, and then the third number and explain it. Now when you see it, this might seem like such a simple animation to do, but then when you try to do it using the normal methods of applying custom animation, you would notice that this is not such a simple process after all. Before we learn this technique, I am Ramgopal from presentationprocess.com. We help professionals like you create engaging presentations. Let us go back to our table. Let me show you what happens when you try to apply custom animation to increase the size of these numbers in the normal process. I want this number to be highlighted. The number needs to grow in size so the viewers will notice that particular number. I have selected that number. Let me go to animations and let us see what happens when I apply grow shrink animation. When I click on it, you can see that the entire table is growing, and that is not what I want. I want only that specific number to grow in size. Is it possible to do that? No. So we need to do something different, which is first we need to break this table into its individual elements. Fortunately, PowerPoint allows you to do that. All you need to do is to right click and cut this. Then you go to Home, go to Paste, click on this option here called Paste Special and choose one of the two formats. One is Enhanced Metafile and the other one is Windows Metafile. You can choose either of these. I'm going to choose Enhanced Metafile and say OK. Now this table doesn't have any of the usual functionalities, and that is the reason why you will not see the option here like table design, layout, etc. What we have here is an EMF picture. Now the benefit of the EMF picture is you can ungroup it. Right click and go to group and say ungroup. And that immediately leads us to this pop-out menu which says this is an imported picture, not a group. Some text may not display correctly and all the warnings are given. You don't really worry too much about that. You say yes, and now we have ungrouped it, and we have done that once. Of course, things have to be a bit more complex, so you need to do it twice to be able to have this broken down into its individual pieces. So I'm going to right click once again, go to group and say ungroup. Now and only now the table is broken down into its individual pieces. Now we have the option of animating specific elements in this table. If I want to have just this number growing, I can select only that number, go to animations, and I can apply the same grow shrink animation, and you can see that that specific number is growing. Now let us say I want to have this number growing. I need to be careful about choosing only that number. If I click on the cell, you would notice that this cell background is what is selected. And when you apply custom animation, only this element will be growing, and that is not what we want. We want just this number to be highlighted. So select that number and then you go and apply that grow shrink animation, and that number grows. So that is how when you go to slideshow, you would be able to highlight specific numbers in a table by using grow shrink animation. It's a fairly simple process once you understand the underlying trick. Now, before we go to our next tip, I want you to take note of this useful resource called as Complete PowerPoint Foundation course, which is available in the link in the description box below. This is a comprehensive training with more than 12 hours of video tutorials that teach you how to use PowerPoint like a pro. If you are a professional and you need to learn PowerPoint in the most efficient way possible, then this resource can be quite handy for you. By the way, we also have a similar program available for Excel and Word, and all three of them are available in one combo in case you want to purchase, and the links of these products are available in the description box below the video. The next tip is to know how to break SmartArt to create custom diagrams. A lot of beginner presenters are not aware that it is possible to break SmartArt diagrams to create your own custom diagrams like this. Once you learn how to break SmartArt, you can apply your own styles. Like in this case, you can see that we have this beautiful circular process once again created using this same basic diagram. Let us learn how to break SmartArt into its individual components. For that, we need to apply the same technique that we applied earlier. We need to click on the bounding box, right click and cut this. Then you go to Home, Paste, Paste Special, and choose Enhanced Metafile option and say OK. Now as we did earlier, we are going to break this twice. So group, ungroup, you say yes. Once again right click, go to group, ungroup, and now we have our individual elements. There is one holding box. This ghost box can always be deleted. You delete that. Now we can always change the nature of these individual elements. For example, if I want this to have no fill, I can go to shape fill and say no fill. And if I want to have the outline to be thicker, I can go to weight and increase the outline. If I want this color to be changed, I can go here and change the color. So you can see that I have complete liberty to change every single element. If I want to apply 3D to this whole thing, I can select everything, press Ctrl G, and then go to Shape Effects, go to Preset, and I can choose one of these options here, and this entire diagram is now in a 3D format. Can you see it's so much easier to work with the base diagram once I break it into its individual pieces. I've got a whole playlist of video tutorials that show you how to work with SmartArt in a smart way. I will leave a link to that playlist in the iCard and also in the description box below the video. The next step is how to break bullet points into individual text boxes. We all know that a drab looking slide like this with a title and a list of bullet points is the most boring thing that you can show to your audience. The moment you show this kind of a slide, your audience will go to sleep. If you want to spruce up this slide, a simple thing that you can do is to break down these individual bullet points into their own text boxes. How do you do that? Very simple. All you need to do is to select all the bullet points, right click, and then go to this option called Convert to SmartArt. Now, as soon as I move my cursor over these various options, you can see that I have different ways to convert my basic bullet point list into the individual text boxes. Now I'm going to select the second one called as vertical block list, and you can see that the text element that I had here is now in the text pane of the SmartArt. Now I can follow the exact same thing that I did earlier. I can right click, cut it, and then go to paste, paste special, and choose enhanced meta file and say OK. I can right click, go to group and say ungroup. We say yes. And once again, let me right click, go to group and say ungroup. Now we have all the elements broken down into their individual pieces. I can select these elements and press Ctrl G. Now this is a separate text box in itself. I can remove this ghost box. I can select the second set, press Ctrl G, and this allows us to have our individual text boxes. I'll show you what you can do with this. Now, if I want to visualize a flow of the points from the first till last, all I need to do is to select this, use my arrow key to move this all the way to the left, this one all the way to the right using the arrow key on my keyboard. I can select all these elements and then go to arrange and say align and say distribute horizontally. I can go to shapes and maybe I can go to block arrows and choose one of these arrows, arrow bent, and I can draw this, choose this curvature to be like this. I can rotate this so I can show that there is a flow from top down, and I can place this over here. Press Ctrl D to create a duplicate and place this over here and hit Ctrl D and D. Now we have a beautiful flow shown with the same basic bullet point list that we started out with. Isn't this interesting? The next tip is how to get a label pop-up on hover. Let me show you what I mean by that. Here is a simple diagram of a plant. Instead of writing the labels here, I want this to be an interactive exercise. All that the student needs to do is to hover the cursor over in the slideshow mode, and the name of that particular part of the diagram is shown. Can you see here? It says leaf. Now when I take my cursor over to the next point, it says branch, and here it says soil. So it is very easy for the audience to get the label names of the individual parts in a diagram. Now, how do we achieve this? It's very, very simple. First, you need to draw a shape, hovering on which the viewer will be able to see the label. For that, let us go to shapes and pick up any shape. Let me pick up this rounded rectangle, and I'm going to draw the rectangle over here, and let us say I want to write a number, say 5. Now, when I place my cursor over this, it needs to say twig. So how do I do that? It's very simple. Maybe I can place this right over here so people will learn about the twig here. So I select this and then I right click and go to the option called link. Can you see here? This is the link. When I click on this, I go to insert link option. The other way of doing this is to use Ctrl K. Let me show you how it is done. I select this shape, then press Ctrl K shortcut, and that again takes me to the same insert hyperlink pop-up dialog box. Here I need to go to this option here called place in this document, then go to the specific slide. In this case you can see that the specific slide name is how to get a label pop-up. So I click on that and you can instantly see the preview just to check and verify whether it is the same slide that you have selected. And here you click on the option called screen tip. You click and that gives you this dialog box. Here you write what you want to write. I am going to write twig or branch or whatever that you want to write, and I say OK, and I say OK again, and this gives you some tip. You say got it, and I go to slideshow. Now when I move my cursor over this, you can see that instantly I have this label which says twig. So that is how you label the different parts of a diagram using this hover technique. Now the last tip is how to change fonts on all slides in your deck. This is one of the questions that I get asked all the time. So let me show you how it is done. First you go to the Home tab, then go to Replace option here, which is in the editing group. You click on the drop down menu and choose this option called Replace Fonts, which gives you this pop-up dialog box. It has two areas here. The first one says what you want replaced. I'm going to click on this. I have 4 different fonts used in this presentation. So I'm going to choose this one, which is 2cent MT condensed extra bold, which requires to be replaced. Now, what do you want this font to be replaced with? I can click on the drop-down menu and that gives me all the options available here. Let us go all the way down since I want it to be replaced with Oswald. So this is Oswald. I'm going to say replace. Now instantly, wherever I've used to send empty condensed extra bold, I have that replaced with Oswald. I say close. Let me see if it has reflected in all the other slides as well. Let me go to the previous slide. Here it is replaced. In the previous slide it is replaced. In the previous slide it is replaced. You can see that only in the places where I have used to send empty extra bold, I have got this Oswald replacing it. All the other fonts are left intact. So that is how you can make specific font changes that apply across all slides in your deck. So those were the 7 tips. If you want to join our 25 Creative PowerPoint Ideas 5-day free email mini training, you can click on the link that you see here in the bottom right corner. In that short mini training, I have shared 25 creative PowerPoint ideas that I have not shared elsewhere, which you can use in your next business presentation. So go ahead, click on the link that you see on your screen or on the link in the description box below the video, and I will see you inside the 5-day free mini training.